YouTube, Brian Phillips here. We've got the ultimate 3D. So this thing is ultimate. Unfortunately, I'm not ultimate at 3D, so don't blame the plane for my mistakes. This plane is really cool. We went through the build and setup, and it does have a reversing ESC. So yes, you can run this prop in reverse. So if you're a good enough pilot, you can fly it backward. I don't think I'm gonna be doing that today. I'm excited to try it, but I just want to warn you, I'm not a 3D pilot, okay? So be nice to me. This is an awesome plane, and I'm sure I probably can't show you half the stuff it's capable of. Throttle cuts off. Got a little bit of wind coming from our tails right now. I'll just demonstrate the reverse right now. That is so cool. Just reminds me of the Night Timber X. Okay, we're gonna go back forward. It's really nice being able to go backward. All right, camera crew, you ready to do this?
Yep.
Okay, the wind is sort of coming over our left shoulder. Oh, that thing is so jumpy. It just goes whatever direction you want. It's really weird. Okay, I feel like I need a little bit of trim. It feels actually rock solid, but it's weird because like it just goes. Okay, a little bit more. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go up. Holy crap, this thing has so much power. I'm at like 30% throttle so far. There's 50. There's 50%. Oh, it looks gorgeous. Look at the shadow on the trees. So pretty. Okay, coming down here for kind of a lowish pass. There's a little bit of wind coming at it, so I gotta keep it moving so it doesn't crash. But man, that thing is so powerful. Obviously, oh my goodness, I think I just had some sort of a stroke there.
Oh my gosh.
That thing is so fast. That was full rudder and I was concerned about the amount of deflection on the control surfaces. I think we've established.
That.
Oh, look, we got braking on right now. Cool. Okay, so I'm really like nervous to try anything too spectacular, but man, you can hammerhead this thing like not even thinking about it, guys. That is so easy. There's so much control authority in all directions. But I'm just scared to do it close to the ground, so we'll do it like out here. There's enough power that you can get out of trouble though, folks. It's just easy. See, I was about to fall upside down and I said, forget it. I said, forget it. Whoa, that's not a good time to have a tremendous amount of roll authority. Okay, so let's try something here. We'll just try this real quick. Wow, that is just insanity. I mean, you definitely need some expo on this, guys. I'm gonna go to my crazy expo. Like, this is my like relaxed. I have 90% throws, and then I have about 25% expo on all axis. And yet, look at that. I can still spin it like crazy. Now I'm gonna go into the crazy mode. Oh, this is like scary. I hope I can get to the switches in time. Okay, here's crazy mode, which really isn't that crazy. It's just negative 10% expo. Oh man, I feel like the elevator is the only control axis where you really don't have quite enough. It just spins so quick on the aileron axis. I feel like I need about 3 times as much expo. Oh my goodness, I'm out of power already. That's 3 minutes? Man, a lot can happen in 3 minutes, but still. All right, I'm not landing. Look at that thing. It's just like, you can stop it like you're taxing. It's so weird. Okay, there's the rudder. Hon, are you getting a good angle here?
No idea.
It's such a pretty plane. I feel bad, like I'm doing it a disservice because I'm not a good enough 3D pilot. But it is so gorgeous. And it really, it's flying great. It's just that 3D flying is a thing, guys. It really is. Okay. All right, just because I can. Oh, dang it. Driving backward. Sorry, folks. Not used to driving backward. I can fly backward. All right, guys. Initial thoughts. First of all, let's check our battery. Whoa. I actually am somewhat low. That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
I had no idea. Okay, so initial thoughts. One, you're gonna need more than one 4S pack if you're running this. Okay, secondly, we need way more expo. Let's do that right now. So let's click into the function list, go to dual rates and expo. Obviously our crazy setting is crazy. Our normal setting is fine. I'm gonna go way higher. I'm gonna go like 40%. I'm gonna go like 25 and 100. And then in my crazy mode, I'm gonna leave it crazy, okay? And then on elevator, we're actually good. On rudder, I think we're good on rudder too. We'll leave that at 25. We'll go ahead and kick this up to 15, and then we'll leave that at minus 10. Okay, so basically what we did was the roll axis was too touchy for just general flying. And the thing about expo that's so nice compared to rates is that you can always jam the stick over to the side and you'll get the same output. Okay, if you lower your rates, you jam the stick to the side, it's only ever gonna go so far. But you can put it 60% expo if you want. I just think AS3X gets a little bit weirded out by that. I don't know why, but there's something in there in the manuals about 50% or greater, and it can screw up the AS3X performance. So that being said, the elevator, see the throw, guys? Look at the elevator. I think part of it is that maybe it's just something about the pivot axis. Like if we wanted to get it more tail heavy, the elevator would give us more immediate authority. I also feel like that power is so far out in the front, and it is crazy power. I mean, I don't even know that I got the 70–80% throttle, even when I was trying to hammerhead. So this thing, I was given it 100% throttle on my way uphill, and I had ample speed. I don't know if I was speeding up a lot, but I was definitely carrying speed going vertical, which is great. That means you have more than a power 1-to-1 power to weight ratio. In terms of ailerons, they're huge. Honestly, on this plane, I'm guessing you could probably not even use the top ailerons. You'd still be crazy, high level of control authority. It did not feel stally at all landing. I was very satisfied. It was easy to land. 3 minutes goes so fast, we're gonna absolutely have to get another battery so we can do a second flight. What else?
I hope they could see it.
I hope they could see it too.
It's cool.
It's really beautiful. The striking design on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference between the top and the bottom. That helps as a pilot because when it's crazy doing these things, that's exactly the time that you want to have safe. Unfortunately for me, I've got my reverse on the A switch, which is normally where I would assign safe on a plane that doesn't have retracts. I would go ahead and assign that to this switch. I followed the manual, sort of, and you'll see if you stick around for the radio setup, we had a little bit of trouble doing the reverse assignment. We didn't have any problems at all doing the safe assignment. We're kind of getting used to that now. But the reverse assignment, this is only our second time on the Brian Phillips RC channel. So for now, we're going to grab another 4S 2200 smart pack, and we'll go ahead and throw that in there. And we'll actually take you inside and show you the charge levels. After that would have been about a 3-minute flight. So we'll pause it and show you the results. All right, guys, so we're just gonna use this Spectrum XCB or XBC 100 smart battery checker, and it says we have 60% life left. So technically we could be, I think what's going on is the smart setup, when you depend on the telemetry data, it's gonna tend to err on the safe side. I think it takes you down to about 25%, because that's what I've been noticing when I'm flying the Habu. I still have the Habu set up on the DXS, and the DXS will give you the last light, and it seems like we're always about 25% on the packs. I'm not saying that's a bad place to be, especially on a beginner plane, but on a plane like this, if I have 60% left, that means that I want a longer flight time, because 3 minutes is just not enough. Now, that being said, if you're gonna be doing hammerheads for 3 minutes, then you're gonna deplete the pack. A lot different than what I was doing with that, you know, generally regular circuit there. Okay, so the charger's done on this S1100. Let's show the people the S1100. This is my other pack here. Interestingly enough, it says 50C. See that? I don't know why it says that. That's pretty cool. So we'll stop that charge. Look, it's 30C. So I don't know why this thing thinks it's a 50C. but I'm okay with it saying it's a 50C. This, if you guys don't already have an S1100, I know that initially I was kind of preaching the S2100, and I still do for people that are not new to the hobby, because it's a dual channel, which means you can actually have 2 charging boards like this set up, and you can charge a ton of batteries. But if you want to just do 2 at a time, that's a great way to do it. But if you're new to the hobby, this S21, or excuse me, the S1100 is great, because you don't have to know anything about it. You just plug it in and it goes. You can also use this to go in and make some changes and things like that if you want. So that being said, we're gonna get another 2200 4S setup. Now you'll notice we're not going to 3S this time. Why are we not going to 3S? Because we installed the metal rod as the wing spar in the tail, okay? If you wanna use the carbon fiber, then that's what they recommend with the 3S. Now we could probably still put a 3S in there and we'd be fine, but I think for now we're gonna go ahead and go with the 4S, because with a 3D plane, you know, power is what you're after. So if you're getting this plane and you're flying it on 3S, I'd be highly surprised. So without further ado, we'll be flying next. All right, this is our second flight, 4S 2200 milliamp hour pack. It's a smart pack, of course, just like before. So it should give us about 3 minutes of flight time to 60% discharge rate. So I think in this case, we'll go 3, and then we'll go ahead and we'll take 1 for the team, and we'll run it down to the low voltage warning that's gonna tell us that we need to land, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. Obviously, we're not gonna do any crazy 3D stuff after the warning though. Not like we're gonna do in the first place. Gosh, that is just insanity. Still need a little bit of trim on the elevator. Man, that plane looks so gorgeous. I love the way it looks. You have so much power that you feel confident in doing maneuvers that you might not otherwise do. And that's kind of my problem, is that I'm just afraid I'm gonna get into trouble, but really, it's so docile and like really well behaved. And I'm not a 3D pilot, guys. That's part of my problem, is that I'm concerned about that. Now, let's do some safe flying. Here's safe. Okay, off the sticks. Just a little bit to just kind of keep it coming around in a turn. When I let go, it goes level. Guys, if you are flying this plane on safe, don't expect to do much with it, because I'm gonna warn you, this is definitely not a beginner plane. I don't care what Horizon says, it's not a beginner plane. I don't even know why they put safe on a plane like this, to be honest. Because it's not a safe, like this plane, safe is nice if you're really into it. But like really, do you want a beginner pilot flying this thing with reverse thrust? Like, no, you don't. This is not a beginner plane at all. It's not even close to a beginner plane. Maybe like your 4th or 5th plane, if you're pretty good with your other planes, yeah, sure. I mean, it's got enough power that you could really get yourself in trouble. I mean, look at that. You don't do that with a beginner plane, guys. It is gorgeous. Man, I love those checkers on the bottom. What do you think, hon?
It looks really cool.
It's gorgeous up against the sky. I hope we're getting good footage.
No.
See, it's just so strange. I'm not used to being able to get the plane to do exactly what I want, like right now. And that's just a different experience for me as a pilot. That's definitely a subjective thing too. Okay, so let's go way up there and see if I can flip. Let's see if I can run the throttle backward, okay? Guys, this is gonna show my novice. Okay, that's scary as crap. Wow. I'm not doing that again. Yeah. That was insane. Guys, I know you're probably thinking to yourself, whatever, Brian, you can do it. No, can't do it. Not doing it. And yes, I see that it's braking, but I don't really, I kind of want the tractoring prop, guys. I want that thing to tractor. Why do I want it to tractor? Because that provides a little bit of drag. Okay, we are at our 3-minute warning. Man, that thing is just so capable. Look at the inside loops. It just does it. It just does it. Guys, I never get this high. My camera crew is really ticked at me right now, I'm sure. But it's like when you get a plane that's so capable and so powerful, and you know that you can get into trouble, the best thing you can do is be a little bit higher. But it's horrible for filming. Man, I hope it shows up good against those trees because it looks gorgeous in person. And it is very easy to get it on the ground, guys. Very easy. I mean, I'm not working hard at all, and I am trying to keep. You'll notice I'm flying kind of over the house. It's a little bit weird, unconventional flight path for me. That's because it's insanely sunny the other way. And I'm sure you guys are wondering why we're doing that. It's all about the sun exposure. Look at this, guys. I am not a 3D pilot, and look at this thing. It just does it. It just does it. Okay, awesome. I said we wouldn't do that after a 3-minute warning. I lied.
That's okay, we knew that.
And yes, there's a pretty stiff cross breeze right now. I'm flying straight into the breeze, so it's about 45-degree angle. Man, that thing looks so good though. Looks like a pylon racer. I feel like the elevator is way better now compared to the ailerons. That extra expo has made the difference for me. I feel like way more in control now. The roll rate is still incredible, but I feel like it's more tame. And that's what I needed. I needed to feel comfortable with this plane. Because when you have a plane that's super, super roly-poly while you're coming into land, it's just very nerve-wracking. And by the way, if you have a plane that's really roly-poly like that, what you can do to kind of help tame it is just use the rudder. Problem is, on a 3D plane, the rudder is very good at just yawing the plane. It's designed to yaw the plane only. See how it's yawing? And it doesn't really roll it too much. That's a good thing. But most planes are not designed to be so strictly yaw from rudder and roll from ailerons. Did that make sense, camera crew?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Man, it's just so gorgeous. Those narrow wings, though, just freaks you out when you're used to flying different types of planes. And I love the way it looks by the vampire killing zone there. Still haven't heard any more warnings. Not feeling any power loss. And everything I'm doing is like hugely power consuming. But I don't know what else I can do besides hammerheads without being a little bit boring here. So we'll come in, try a little grass landing for you people. You want to see grass take off, folks? Lot of clearance there. Grass was cut, what, 3 days ago? Full up elevator just to get it out, and it just does totally fine. Let's do a little upside down flight. Nothing special. Okay, there's my warning. I'm gonna respect my warning. We're going into land. Coming into land. Camera crew. You off the runway? Good job. Okay, just saving my power. Gonna bring it in here, get over the tree line, the vampire kill zone, get into the throttle, watch that rate of descent, goodness gracious. And then put it down without any problems. So there you have it, guys. Throttle cut is on and tested. This plane, okay, what can I say about this plane? This plane is just, for me, it's like a heart attack on a platter because it is way more capable than I am as a pilot, okay? And if you're a 3D pilot, I mean, that's the braking in case you're wondering. It's got a soft braking, so it will spin, but it slows it down largely from just moving through the air. What else can I say about this plane? Very quick assembly. Like the only thing that was weird is these clips, okay? So if you intend to take this to the flight field and you have to take it apart, first of all, it's not that big. It's not even 1,000 millimeters, which should be a meter. It's a little bit longer than that, but it's not a very big wingspan. What else would you say, camera crew?
It looks cool.
It's definitely gorgeous. I love the way the bottom of this plane looks.
Yeah, it's cool.
The checkers are so different looking than this. So you definitely see that high contrast when you're spinning around. I was a little bit weirded out by the responsiveness on the pitch axis, which sounds weird. And I mean, it's just, that could come with a little bit more practice, but I felt like maybe it was almost a little bit lacking. So if you guys are true 3D pilots, you may want to actually just plan on putting this to the inside hole to get a little bit more out of the elevator. Now, I don't fancy myself a 3D pilot. I'm sure you could do the same thing by just turning your expo. You could do like a -20 or whatever instead of a 0, and you'll get plenty of pitch authority, and it is fast. I believe those are Metal Gear servos too. At least it's a Metal Gear shaft right there on that spline is metal. So really fast response on the servos. I didn't feel like it was ever like I was waiting for the plane to do anything. So very quick response, very aggressive flyer, very beautiful, very economical. I don't know. It checks all the boxes if you're into 3D flying.
That's cool.
So, but it still scares me to death. So if you guys, by the way, definitely not a first-time flyer. If this is your first plane, you're gonna crash it really quick. Like you might make it off the ground and crash it while taking off. Can you fly it with limited experience? Yes, because SAFE does let you do that. But this plane is just, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's like kissing your sister or something. It's just, you don't do it, you know, it's weird. You just, if you're flying this thing on SAFE, just get a different plane that's more of a scale flyer, I think.
Yeah.
You know, because 3D flight is still scale technically, but it's kind of like this weird nuance of scale flight.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend against flying this on SAFE, even though it's capable and it does keep it in the air. If you need the help of SAFE to land, you're not flying this plane, okay? You're crashing it, okay? I'm gonna save you whatever, 250 or 300 bucks or whatever this thing costs. So if you're on SAFE, listen, don't buy this one. Buy something else. There's a million other awesome choices. This would definitely not be it. But if you're off SAFE and you love flying 3D, this is a great choice. And I love the way the plane goes together. It's supposed to be extremely durable. Thank God I didn't have to test that.
Yep.
I don't really see how that could be super durable while crashing from a
At that
3D.
speed.
Yeah, because it's a fast and capable plane. Now that being said, if you were to fly it in some tall grass like this and you would come out of a hammerhead and tip over and hit, I still don't see it doing that great. But durability wise, it's a lot more durable than the one I had.
Yeah.
So what was that one? Like the Viking? Was it the Viking?
That still doesn't sound right.
I don't know. It was smaller than this and it was kind of crazy. But I was a lot less good pilot too because I had a lot less experience.
Yeah.
It was like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
At least.
So it was like half of my flying experience ago.
Yeah.
That being said, one thing I don't like about this is I want it to be a little bit less fast, which sounds funny, but this prop could stand to be a little bit less aggressive and it could even be a little bit taller. It could be a little bit, we have clearance, we clearly have power. I'm sure Horizon did it for a reason, but if there was one gripe, that would be it. The battery straps are actually good. It's annoying to load the battery in here, but you'll notice that the battery straps are thicker than some of the chintzy ones. They do work very good. And yes, use the battery straps, guys. You see what this thing can do. You need that battery secured. If I was flying this battery all the time, always doing 2200 4S, then what you could do is you could build one of the foam inserts like I've done in the past with the soft foam or the sticky foam and just build that, and then you could have a pocket that you could just slide it into. That might be a little easier. Other thoughts?
It's cool.
It's very cool.
It's aggressive, but like for me
You aren't
watching you
scared.
fly, it's not out of control.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's not like a scary thing to fly.
No.
See, and that's what the camera crew is talking about. Is there's been a few planes that we have reviewed in the past that fly bad enough that she's scared I'm
Yeah.
going to crash into us because I necessarily fly close. This plane, I kind of got away from myself. I got up there really high, and I try not to do that. I know, I'm sorry about that. I'm sure there's probably some focus issues with the sun as intense as it is. But when we fly close, we carry a slightly larger risk than the average RC pilot. So we just try to avoid that. We just get up a little bit higher. If something goes wrong, you can always replace a plane, but you can't necessarily replace people. So you got to be a little bit careful about that. This thing is crazy though.
So
and
cool.
I'm actually kind of curious to see a really well-versed 3D pilot fly this thing, because I'm sure they could be, you know, hovering this thing like that and doing the tail touches where they touch the ground with the tail and all that stuff. I guarantee you could do it if you had the skill. I just don't. So don't blame the plane, blame the pilot for that. Now, that being said, if you're still watching this video and you thought that was cool and you want to see how we put it together and you need some help, my guess is you're probably a better pilot than me, so you may not need that help. So you're probably going to call it quits here. But if you do want the help, or you need some help getting your radio set up, maybe you're new with Spectrum, you're coming over from Futaba, or you've got ready to fly planes or whatever it is, or from the olden days back when we used crystals, then just stick around. I'll help you set up your transmitter, and you can get this thing in the air and show me up. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate you. Come back for more. If you want to buy this, check the link in the description. If you're a new pilot, please don't buy this one, buy something else. There's a million good choices, and I literally have them below. Just look, scroll down, you'll see a list of planes. I always have this stuff in there so that you don't have to search. And if you're looking for something, you don't see it and you need help finding it, let me know in the comments below. I will answer your questions. Unless there's been a derecho, I usually get back to people within a day or so. But this week we were a little bit delayed. We had a few people that had to wait 5 days for answers, and I always feel super bad when that happens. So anyway, best audience in the world, you'll forgive me. Thank you. All right, come back for more. Thanks. YouTube, Brian Phillips here. We have a box. We're gonna open it up right now. You've probably already seen it fly because we put things out of order for your pleasure. And that's the way we like it. Man, this thing looks ultimate. 3D. Was that cheesy enough for you, camera crew?
Yeah, you got it.
Get out of there! Get out of there!
Just put that anywhere.
This is a bind and fly. It's called the Ultimate 3D. It's by Horizon Hobby, e-flite brand. And it is very durable, ultimate capabilities, high power, 3 and 4S compatible, and it's supposedly easy to fly, whatever that means.
Supposedly.
Then, on the side of the box, you can see some other things.
Tip it up.
You can see that this is the bind and fly, not plug and fly. They offer it as a plug and fly, bind and fly. It looks beautiful. I'm excited for this one. I had, this has exclusive smart technology by Spectrum. I'm excited for this one because I had a 3D plane and I only had it for a few days because I had some problems. And that actually birthed for me the Cessna 182 UMX. Do you remember that scenario? So
I do.
And it was a Christmas present, and I had a problem, and Horizon took care of me, but then it got discontinued. I was like, oh! So I'm actually really excited to try this.
Wait, you bought something that was discontinued?
I know, it's hard to believe. All right, so I'm opening this box sort of upside down right now, and I'm kind of trying to figure out if I've got this the right direction. I think I do. It's always kind of hard to tell. Gosh, am I upside down or right side up?
No, you're right side up.
No, I'm going the right way. So I have the back of the box up, which is a little bit out of the ordinary. Okay. Yeah, look how weird the foam is. It's like super bumpy.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's unpack this thing and see what we've got here. Typical Horizon packaging, very good. There's nothing on the back this time because the manual is up front. Good call, Horizon. Starting to do that is smart because if you hide them on the back, people don't always see them. Got the instruction manual in a plastic bag like usual. They always have really good manuals, better than industry standard. If you guys haven't figured that out yet, just buy any other brand and you will immediately know what I'm talking about. Don't be overwhelmed by the manual. They've got Italian, French, Dutch, and then English.
That's German.
DE is German? Deutsch. Deutsch, so it's German, whatever. German. It's not Dutch, sorry guys, all you Dutch English speakers. What do they speak?
Well, they speak Dutch.
That's
I
right.
think that isn't, I think. I don't
Everybody in Europe speaks
know. Now we're
English.
going to sound dumb. Just
They speak English
go back to
because
airplanes.
that's what they do. So, I mean, they all speak like 3 languages. And
Yeah, I know.
we barely speak one right.
Very well.
Okay, so we're cutting these little foam blocks out here. Ooh, that wing is in there, so I got to be careful the way I do this. And for some of you guys, you probably think, man, unboxings are lame. Well, you're still watching, so you must not think it's that lame. I don't really get the unbox thing myself, unless I'm buying it from like really far overseas. Wait, it doesn't get any further than this.
It's about as far, yeah, as it could be.
China. China as far as you can get from us, right? In central Iowa.
Probably pretty much.
Okay, so as you can see, complex design. Looks like we have the vertical or horizontal stab here. Yep, that is one of the tails. And then the top wing, because of course this is a biplane. That is pretty cool. Horizon does really nice job. Oh,
There's the other one.
Horizon does a really nice job of protecting the foam from the other foam with more foam and plastic. So if you're wondering, oh wow, I want to see this. Oh yes, we have finally got a good hinge.
What?
We have a good hinge. Look guys, it's not just a pinch hinge. We have actual plastic hinges. Nice, I like that, especially on a big surface like this. And we have ball joints. Nothing like good balls there. Just something for it to grab onto. We're gonna open both of these, get them laid out. If you're not familiar with ball joints, we'll go over those a little bit later. They are superior. Same thing here. And you're like, but Brian, there's no ball on that. That's because these things are going to attach together with that thing, and then this will be fixed to the plane, and then the control arm will attach to that ball joint. It is on the outside. Be kind of a pain to replace that to the innermost hole though, just because you have to undo a nylock. Actually, it won't be that big a deal. All right, so moving along, we've got the fuse next. It looks like all these bags are kind of crazy. We have actually a spinner. I want to get this out first. Looks like we have a backer, which is made of wood. There's a bind plug in here, some tape, probably what is going to be a wing lock. That's in a plastic bag here, some Velcro maybe? Can't tell if that's Velcro or tape, and then a few screws. They look to be different screws. And then this will probably come into play on the spinner or the back of the spinner, I'm assuming. It could also just be a packaging piece that holds that down. Spinner is painted. It's not plastic. That's just colored. It's actually painted white. That's a little bit, I don't know if I like that or not. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Some plastic to protect the tip because they want to keep the tip clean. That's important. Always do that. It's life lessons from Brian Phillips. Garbage here. Okie dokie, look at this. Oh, wow. Now that one is more than likely shipping.
Yep.
It doesn't say remove, but you could use it. Honey, think of all the things we could build with
Goodness,
this.
can't wait to keep that.
They have the prop mounted on here. That's like really uncommon.
That is really uncommon. Whoa.
Wow. It's so gorgeous. I love it. It's so good. It's got a carrying handle so you can go
Take
to
it
work.
with you. Lovely accessory.
The prop, that's a big one. It's covered up by the nut. I'm looking for the dimensions there. I don't see it. Big old motor in there. That's gonna be awesome. And then, look at this. Boop. Top access hatch for the battery. Yeah, buddy. Look at this. Got some overspray on it. That's a little bit weird. Now this one you may wanna be a little bit careful because like zoom out a little bit there. Yeah, this prop would be in close proximity to your hands. They've got an IC3 connector here. The positive and negative, and then of course the smart lead is in the middle there. Looks like we've got the lid is well built, pretty sturdy. This tab is probably gonna be a little bit vulnerable, but we have a plastic embedded tab on the front. Excuse me, got that backward. Snaps in, there's a little release button here. Like it. Big sturdy mount for the top wing, I like that. AR637TA Oh no, are you kidding me? Lucy Goose, look at that. Popped out, no way, Jose. Well, I'd rather know now than after we get the wing on.
Yeah, no kidding.
So what we're gonna do is there's double-sided tape. I'm feeling it with my middle finger there. Hey, camera crew, you're blocking me. Sorry. So I'm just gonna try to stick that back down right now, and it is probably not gonna stick. So we'll just have to get a little hot glue to that, but that's a 637 TA. If this was a T, then it would have the full suite of everything like the Boeing 737 MAX 9. If you want to go through that, we do the full setup on it. Forward programming and everything is a real pain in the neck, but it's awesome. And it has a Vario built in. This does not. So don't expect the Vario on there. You'll have to upgrade that to an AR637T, not a TA, okay? So the TA speaks to the couple of features are removed. I think it has to do with the barometer, because there is a barometer on that. That's how they do the Vario. You can see the Smart ESC there. How can you tell it's a Smart ESC?
It's orange and black.
Because it has this extra, because it has different colors. The leads are different colors, okay? And you also, yeah, it looks like it's plugged into the channel 2 maybe? Yeah, channel 1 actually. They have a bind extension cord there probably. AS3X, see this says AS3X only, leave plug in while initiating. That's AS3X only. I don't know where we actually want that to be though. I think we're gonna want that down. And those wing nuts I was talking about, that's what's gonna receive the wing nut. Okay, so we'll see how that goes. This might be a little bit of a different install. Linkage is already attached. That is a big, big arm on that servo. Goodness gracious, look at that.
That's like really
How thick it is. And then the steerable tail wheel looks like it's pretty weak. Probably won't be used much on this plane, but grass may not like this very well. Although it does look nice. It's nice and scaled. Beautiful plane. Canopy looks a little cheesy since it's not clear, but that's okay. I forgive them. It's kind of not a big deal. I wish they would have gone black if they were going to make it, you know, solid, because it would look more like a tinted window. Okay, then the landing gear, not probably going to be my favorite point, just because these things like to bend. The aluminum will bend. That being said, they're very easy to bend back. The ones where you get into problems are where you have this and then there's like a foam fairing on it, because then they bend and the fairing doesn't and it cracks and breaks. So this should be nice and safe. Of course, this plane will fly at like -miles an hour, I'm assuming. So we'll be able to do whatever we want with it. There's still more in here. Don't get excited. There's still, actually, I'm not even sure if these are just like wing fairings, what they call them. Looks like we got a few shafts here. Okay, so this is probably going to be a lot like, what was the plane that had the two different wing spars for the horizontal stabilizer? This has a steel one and a carbon fiber. Yeah, Night Timber X. Had two different styles. And I'm pretty sure that this solid rod is going to give you a little bit of aft weight, or weight toward the aft portion of the plane or the tail of the plane. And then this is a solid carbon fiber rod. One of the two is going to go in here. And then these things, of course, are going to be the spacing fairings or whatever you want to call it. They go between the top wing and the bottom wing. Since I didn't know what it's called, I'm sure somebody's going to correct me. And then for the next 6, 7, 8 weeks, 10 years, whatever it is that this video runs, people will be correcting me.
Yeah.
Carbon fiber. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Nice.
Oh yeah, carbon fiber for sure. Nice sturdy construction. This one, I think it's carbon fiber. It could actually be a fiberglass rod because it's embedded in the foam, but it's glued in with this clear, or this like white colored foamy glue stuff. I don't exactly know what it is, but I know they use it a lot at Horizon, and it's one of the few things that I can't fix when I'm fixing something after a crash. So I just have to go to a different type of glue. Okay. Everything is wrapped nicely on this. I'm really impressed with it. More foam to protect the foam. That's always good. Okay, so this, of course, is going to be the wing. It's got some vortex generators on it because this has the control surfaces. Where'd the other wing go?
It's down there.
Oh, I never pulled it out of the bag.
No.
My apologies, guys. There's more coming. Okay, so huge control surfaces. I probably should have just slid it out the end, huh?
Yeah.
I was literally just trying to untangle those. So the control surfaces are going to attach from the top to the bottom. but the servo is going to be down here. That is interesting. It looks like a 9-ground servo, but look how thick that shaft is. Man, more ball joints here. Vortex generators on top and bottom. That's because this plane is going to be flying upside down or right side up. It's sort of ambidextrous. And then of course the lines that go from the servos on the ailerons. Okay, so we've emptied everything out. Let's just open up the, that must be the top wing.
I think so.
Yep. So we got the top wing here. The top wing is a little bit simpler in that, which way is this taped? They have it taped down here. This plastic is pretty easy to work with. It's not heavy, but it's just enough to stop the stuff from sticking and kind of helps a little bit with the static electricity, which is nice on the foam. Let's show them it at home. Carbon fiber reinforcements on the ailerons there. You see that all the way down the length. And then on the wing, it looks like there's a carbon fiber out to about here. It's kind of hard to tell. Got the molded vortex generators, extremely smooth wing. Very smooth. Look how thin that is. There's hardly an airfoil on this, which means that the lift that's produced is going to be produced because of a ton of airflow going over it, I believe. And then look how much tape is on there. These are reinforced hinges too. So it's a pinch hinge design with a reinforced hinge. So 1, 2, 3, 4 big hinges. And then it looks like we got 2 carbon fiber spars and then a long carbon fiber spar and another long carbon fiber spar. And it is carbon fiber because you can see it going through the middle on this wing mount where that wing nut goes. Yeah, so this is a really well built. I mean, it's not without some flex, but you're gonna have a little bit of flex that makes it durable. The other thing too is like on this, you see the same thing there. There's carbon fiber, carbon fiber, carbon fiber, okay? But they've embedded that plastic piece in, see? So this is glued in, and that whole plastic piece goes under here. So that's pretty sweet. I like that design. So basically, this is gonna be the top and the bottom wing. Of course, they're gonna be offset a little bit. One flies a little bit ahead of the other, which is not uncommon at all. All right, so there's the pieces. That's almost certainly gonna be shipping parts. The assembly on this one, I wanna be careful about doing just because of the nature of the binding process. Being that this is an AR637 TA, there is a push button here, right there, that you can push for binding, or you can use the physical plug for binding this way. And I'm not sure how this is gonna work. It does not look like that bind plug is long enough to reach up here. I'm not sure though. Because once I get this thing glued down, you can see kind of what I'm fighting. Looks like it's tangled up really bad. It's kind of nice, I can untangle the wires. Okay, so I untangled all that. Definitely need to get that re-glued. I'm not real happy about that popping off, but what are you gonna do? Oh, I pulled the antennas out, dang it. See how these things, these are where the antennas can go. It's inoculous material. It's not gonna interfere with the radio frequency, which is really good. And this needs to go down here. And then I don't know if I can pass through the top or if I have to pass through the bottom. I think it needs to pass through the top just because of where the receiver ends up going. And I'm gonna try to pass that bind plug down and see if I can reach that up to the front where my battery is gonna go. You see what I'm doing, camera crew? See it right there?
Oh yeah. Are you gonna bind this with safe though, to show the people?
See, right there.
Yeah.
So now that that's out, I'm gonna do this real quick trick. Am I gonna bind this with safe? Probably. Why?
Because then you can't use that plug anyway. It says AS3X only, right?
Well, I think that what they're saying is AS3X only on that side, and then the other side might actually say with safe. See, safe select,
Oh, it has the
AS3X
directions on
only.
the tab.
So it says
Okay.
AS3X only, and then it says save select.
Yep.
Okay? So it just gives the instructions right on there, which, by the way, Horizon, good call.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot better than burying it in the manual
It's confusing.
that most people aren't going to read anyway.
Yep.
I mean, let's just be real. That's, you know, people don't read manuals. That's why they watch
yes, we do.
videos like this. Their camera crews do. Their camera crews. So I'm just feeding this stuff back through. We're going to have to start this process by going ahead and re-gluing that. Now, I could use a piece of 3M double-sided tape. I could use hot glue. I could do a variety of different techniques to get that thing glued. The reason that these are at 90 degrees of one another is that gives us the most diversity on antenna picking up interference, which is what we do with antennas. And then of course that will get the signal into the receiver, which is here. All right, so our next move will be to do our assembly and then radio setup. And you guys have already seen the flight, so hopefully it's awesome and everybody loves it. But we'll go through the entire process of putting this thing together right now. Stay around. So we need to fix the receiver thing. So we got the hot glue gun ready to go. And this is gonna be super simple. I basically just wanna kind of glue it so it stays in place. It's not anything rocket science-y about it. I'm just gonna glue a little bit on the side of the receiver and let it run down the side to foam. I'm gonna go a little bit heavy because it's not gonna really hurt anything, but I don't wanna get anywhere near the connectors, and there are some stuff that's pretty close to the edges. Okay, so just going a little bit down the side and just letting it run down, okay? Lick the finger, which is not COVID approved. And then get the strings out of there by doing this, looking like a weirdo. And then once that's set, then that will give us a little bit of purchase to the foam. Keeping in mind that hot glue is not generally the best choice for gluing to foam, but it works well in this application because you already have that tack from the stickiness. And I'm just trying to hold it there. And I'm gonna do a little bit on the front too. And that'll be plenty to kind of get things to hold. Yeah, that's gonna be good. I think we're gonna be fine. And then this one here, just kind of putting the tip of the hot glue gun there just so it can run down the side of the receiver. See what I did there, guys? It's not really too complicated. I'm sure you could have figured it out without my help. I could have glued the bottom and then stuck it down, but I felt like that would compromise the hold that I already have. And then once you sandwich it in there, you have this hot stuff that's stuck in the middle and the heat's trapped. And so it's like, you end up having a void of foam. So you get a really poor joint. This way, at least it has a chance to, you know, cool down from the outside. So we're just gonna make sure that's good in a minute or two. And we can carry along with the regular build video steps, which are going to be pretty straightforward in the manual, I'm sure. All right, so we have the manual as mentioned earlier. By the way, Tom sent me this Robart stand. Thank you, Tom. This thing has been working out nicely. It's surprisingly helpful to have the plane up a little bit higher. It's strange how big of a difference it makes on your back. And if you're anything like me, if you ever had a back injury, working on planes can be really tedious because you end up just tipping over a little bit and it really gets to your back. We used a blanket, show the people the blanket next to the cat that's doing really cute things.
Sleeping upside down.
Yeah, we used blankets like this for years, and to be honest with you, it worked fine most of the time, but then occasionally you'd run into a situation where you're trying to like stack pillows up and you got planes on top. You guys have seen the videos.
Or you use your wife's blanket and you start a prop.
I mean, every once in a while you start the prop and you cut the blanket up, so it's no big deal. It's no big deal.
Just minor.
Some people never forget. So anyway,
You brought it up.
so this is page 2. I guess this is page 1. That's a little weird. Usually that's called a cover. So you have the page 1, page 2. So this is page 2, page 3. So I guess we didn't get page 1.
It's an addendum.
So here's the dual rates and expo. Soft center. Okay. Center of gravity is 89 millimeters back from the leading edge at the center of the top wing. Flight timer is 3 minutes. Woo. Jeez, a lot can happen in 3 minutes. Anyway, so basically we're gonna build this. We're not gonna measure any of this crap. We're just gonna set our rates like we always do. And our rates are gonna be something, okay, it looks like high rates are 10% for expo, and then low rates are gonna be 5%, which is a little bit strange. That's because obviously you're gonna need less expo on low rates than you will on high rates. I'm gonna solve that with a much simpler setup. Okay, computerized transmitter setup. I don't know if you guys can see this, but my DX18 way over there is charging. So we'll come back to that in a few minutes. It was at 7.7 volts, so it'd have been fine, but we're gonna be down here where the DX18 is. Most of you guys are gonna be in this part here. DX7 and DX8 are kind of oldies. Okay, so we're gonna do that. Looks like we're gonna select the one aileron wing type and the digital switch setup. So that's no motor reversing and motor reversing. Oh, cool. So we can do motor reversing, which is gonna be crazy.
Oh, good, I was worried.
I know. You know, one thing I've had trouble with on motor reversing is the concept of getting to a given switch in time. So I've toyed with the idea of having a stick forward to go forward and a stick neutral for no throttle and a stick back for backward throttle, similar to what you would get with a helicopter. And I fear the possibility of starting the plane with a reverse throttle condition, which could result in a dangerous situation. So I haven't figured out if I want to do that or not, but with a Knight Timber X, for instance, we have a reversing motor, reversing ESC more or less. I mean, the motors can all go reverse. So that's one thing I've toyed with. I don't know if you guys have good experience with that, but go ahead and put it in the comments below and let us know what you're thinking. But for right now, we are going to set it to a switch so that we can turn it on or off. As per the instructions here, they want it to be on switch A, which is typically my gear switch. I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna do that on switch A. I might do it on a different switch. So they're recommending that we go ahead and throw the landing gear in first. Looks like they want us to use three 3x10mm screws. It looks like we don't have very many screws to pick from on this one. So we'll just dump all the contents of this bag out real quick. Okay, so that's just wing tape. It looks like we got a bind plug. May or may not need it. As you know, we have our bind plug hanging out. We showed how to do that earlier. And looks like we've got the modified wing nuts or screws or whatever you want to call those things. Thumb nuts, screws. Then we have a bag with 3 coarse thread and 1 very fine thread. I have to assume that's probably going to be what holds our prop on, or our spinner in this case. The prop is already on.
Right.
So no extra screws today, I guess. Horizon was feeling kind of cheap on this one.
Apparently so.
Like no extra screws.
That's crazy that there's only 4 screws in the whole plane.
I know. I don't know if that's either a good thing or a bad thing, but obviously these ones are going to match up closer to the drawing. I don't really understand why that drawing has to have a tip on it, because this does not have a tip. It's a blunt end. So in my opinion, it would make better sense if there was a blunt end that the drawing would reflect that, but there's 3 holes clearly on this. So we're gonna go ahead and do it this way. And then I gotta get screwdriver. I'll let you know kind of what size. I think you could probably get away with the number 2, but I think we're gonna go with the kind of the middle ground. I have no idea what size this thing is. It's something I got from Menards for free. It's like a birthday present.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I think no birthday present for you this year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Menards. Okay, so we're gonna try this now. It looks like actually that screwdriver is just a little bit too small. I feel like a number 2 would be better.
Go grab.
No, I'm just gonna go for the bigger size and we'll see. That's more of like the number 2 size. So we'll see how that goes. Oh yeah, that's better. Better purchase. Better purchase for that deep reaching penetration.
It's important.
It is.
Has to be the right size.
Exactly. I want to say things so bad.
Just, no.
My camera crew says I can't say anything. So evidently I can't. So you guys.
So you're gonna start listening to me now?
Yeah.
Oh,
Over this.
okay.
This
Can
is
you
important.
feel it bite in there?
Oh yeah. It's going in nicely. Very good purchase, and it's not questionable at all. It's definitely biting. And we have a little bit of squeak from the foam moving, but I think that's just kind of the way it's going to be, because it's definitely tight. Okay, so now we can lay this on its wheels, and we're going to see what's next? All right, so horizontal stabilizer installation. Okay, the Ultimate 3D includes 2 tail tubes according to the use of 3S or 4S. Oh. Okay, so if you're using 3S, you're gonna wanna use the lightweight. If you're using 4S, you wanna use the, you know why they said that is because this battery bay is very small. So I'm guessing that you're not gonna be able to have a lot of movement forward or backward. So that's probably why they do that. Shoot, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I would do this on 3S if I have a choice for 4S. What does this fly on anyway? Did it even say it?
Yeah, go back to page 1/2.
Okay. So they're recommending a 2200. Oh, okay. 2200 4S. In that case, if I'm using the 2200 4S, they're suggesting that I put the steel rod in. This is probably like the worst video ever to start behaving ourselves. I'm going to use the steel rod. I'm going to use the steel rod.
Okay.
And we'll keep the carbon fiber rod for another time. There is a huge difference in weight too. Oh my goodness. Feel the difference.
Whoa, that's really heavy. That is ridiculously light.
It's
crazy.
It's like lighter than a straw, but it's
Yes.
not hollow. This is solid and it's extremely strong. But so is this.
really
And this
heavy,
is
though.
heavy. So obviously we already mentioned this earlier, so that's gonna go in first. Just make sure you get it all the way in. Don't stop.
Carefully.
Halfway.
Nice.
Okay, so all the way in halfway, then we need to put on the horizontal stabilizers, which I have just used that for an example. And I'm pretty sure this is where we're gonna tape them on. Man, tape, really?
Wait.
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah, yeah. It's tape.
Interesting.
I know, I agree. I'm a little bit off put by the tape. Plus, I only got 3. What?
Well, maybe you're only supposed to get 2.
Oh, yeah. No, they stuck together.
Oh.
Look, I did
was gonna
get
say,
4.
Those are hard to peel apart.
There we go, guys. Okay, so basically we have 4 pieces of tape that hold that wing top and bottom. Okay. Not
Interesting.
really excited about the tape holding the wings together, but I can live with it if it works.
Are they trying to save weight?
Yeah, probably.
Goodness.
I don't know. I would save weight somewhere else and put a screw through. To be honest with you, if you put a screw in though, since it's foam, you have to have a plastic backer in there. And if you have a plastic backer in there, then you add a lot of weight.
True.
But they just gave us a metal rod to ram in there. So anyway, I don't know. Again, this is really good tape at least. All right, so when you apply this tape, just one word of wisdom from my failures in the past. Try to center it. It'll make your life better, I promise. If you put it on mostly on one side, it's kind of not effective. I learned the hard way. Actually, I've never had one of these come off when they're taped like this. It seems like such a chintzy way to do it, but it actually works just fine. You know, these planes, they don't last forever, but they last for a long time if you don't crash them. Although I can tell you from experience, when you get a plane like this, they tend to end up crashed a little bit. Because it's a 3D plane, you're gonna be doing stupid things with it that you shouldn't do. That people do in real life, which is crazy. Like with their actual lives on the line. I don't quite understand. You must have, it's like the most exciting experience of your life. All right, here we go. See what happens? I'm telling you.
I don't know where to go with tape though. I mean,
Goodness gracious. Okay, we'll pause it until I get this tape. Okay, so since this is the most exciting part of this build you're gonna see, we're gonna put that on there. And we did the other side off camera because it was so exciting. This one's kind of awkward because you're underneath the control arm. So I'm gonna push down one side gently, pull it tight, and then that's gonna allow me to get purchase on both sides evenly. These control rods are huge on this plane.
They are.
Will you throw that away, camera crew, please? Okay, so now the next thing I got to do is connect the linkage for the back. Now this robot stand, if you've ever seen them, they're adjustable, but mine's brand new, so it's like really hard to adjust. So don't get mad at Tom for getting me that awesome tool, because it works really nice actually. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this thing up on its nose, because the nose is heavy, and my camera crew is gonna try to go to the other angle, because the next thing we gotta do is we have to attach this linkage here. Now it looks like on this one, they already have everything screw-wise assembled. So all you have to do is just take one of the provided control arms, but gosh, which one is it? There's two that are gonna be a certain length. Of course, those are gonna go to the wing because you would need two. And then there's one that's a certain length, which is alone. So that's gonna be to the tail. Obviously, you're not gonna get any extras on that. So now this thing snaps on there, and that kind of hurts. So I'm not looking forward to it. They want us to put it in the outermost hole. And being that this is a 3D plane, I'm assuming that they have taken into account the 3D nature of a 3D plane. So I'm going to go ahead and actually go to the outside hole. And so we're just gonna slip it in there and just kind of get it worked in, and then just work it in. There we go. Ooh, wow, that was good. Okay, then we're gonna lift this up and snap it on. Ow! It didn't actually hurt that bad. This one was better than usual. Okay, see what I'm doing, guys? I'm just centering that. Can you see over the top of my head? See what I'm doing?
What are you centering that?
I'm centering it because this thing has to show them a lineup so they can see this lined up square with this. Do you see how the ball joint, the outside of the ball joint is lined up vertical with this?
Okay.
Okay?
Gotcha.
So now we can lay that down. The fuse is done. Pretty awesome. So far, super easy. Okay, so the wing assembly is calling for installing the bottom wing first. Now this is where I was really wanting to be careful to make sure that I have this out the top and then this glued down and ready. Right. So let's talk about this. That's cool. And that's cool. Yep, so we're secured. So let's do the pick it up from the receiver test. Yeah, it's good. I don't really want to tempt fate. It's in there plenty good. So that is important. If your receiver comes dislodged, which is a little bit weird. I haven't had that happen before, but I've had a few that come from Horizon that were a little bit out of perfect alignment. Now that being understood, there is a calibration procedure that gets done, I'm assuming at the factory, because I had to do it when I did the Boeing 737 MAX, and you had to hold the plane. Do you remember that? Where you had to hold it in certain orientations. Yep. And so it will automatically correct for these slight asymmetries from what I understand. So I think we should be okay, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so the next step is, of course, the bottom wing. So how do you differentiate the top from the bottom? If you don't already know, the bottom wing has the servos in it and the top wing does not. Okay, you could also just study them and then compare them to how the mechanisms line up. But of course, this one's got a finished bottom and this one has a finished top.
And the top one has the decals, like the Horizon decals on the top.
Oh yeah, it says the Ultimate 3D and then Horizon Hobby. Good point. Okay, so now this one, since this is set up as a single aileron and no flaperons, which I'm not real excited about that. You know, flaperons on a biplane might not work great, I'm not sure. They're not labeled left and right because it doesn't matter on this plane. So you just plug in one aileron to one aileron. And the reason that it doesn't matter is because they are definitely not being used as flaperons. That's one of the telltale signs is if the left and the right are marked, then the computerized transmitter setup will be correct. For the left and the right have to both go the same direction, okay? The other way you can get that with dual servo flaps for like an inboard flap would be that you mount one servo with the linkage on one side, and then to center them on the wing, you point them at each other. Well, if you want to have them operate on one channel, you can just point them the same way, and then the function of the flap servo will be the same. Whereas ailerons are mounted opposite one another, and so when they function, the output is opposite, okay? That'll make sense to anybody who's put together a plane, except for my camera crew. She's very confused. Whatever, you get it. So now I have to figure out how to get this thing through to this empty void down here because there's plenty of room down there. And so I just want to kind of tuck these wires down there so that they're out of the way. I'm gonna have to worry about linkages and stuff getting in the way. Okay.
The extension cable is really long.
That's not the extension cable. It's a short Y cable. And these cables are just like long because the servos must be, oh, it's because they do have an extension cable. That's why.
In there. Oh.
Yep. Okay, so this keys in there and then drops down nicely. As you can see, just like that. Now I just need to get one of these thumb nuts or thumb bolts or thumb screws or whatever you want to call it. I believe they're exactly the same. Let's let the people study it with us. They appear to be exactly the same, so it doesn't matter which one goes where, which is good. Okay, so we're gonna put that in like this. Ooh, that's a tight squeeze. Wowzers. Oh, whoa, whoa.
Don't go the wrong way. Jeez.
Oh, man. Okay, it's in. All right.
Interesting.
So, out of curiosity, guys, are you going to take this wing off?
No.
That's kind of what I thought. Because it's not just that. Then you got to take apart the wings top to bottom.
Right.
So, I mean, technically, you could still disassemble it and then, like, slide the wing off. I don't know. Maybe that's why those extensions are so long. And by the way, a good biplane should be able to fly fast, albeit with just the bottom wing on.
Really?
Which would be kind of cool. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how it would fly. Huh. Okay, so this stand is kind of getting in the way at this point, so we're going to go ahead and look what the next step is. The next step is to slide this top wing. You kind of slide it in onto this, and then it keys down, okay? So you see there's like a socket here that receives it. So this just goes down and catches, okay? Show the people on the bottom while I'm doing it, okay? So you see this? This just goes, can they even see that?
Yep.
See, it just seats down and then drops down into place. Real simple. It's just so weird. It seems like, oh no, that can't be enough to hold a wing on.
Oh.
But it evidently somebody designed it to be enough. Okay, well, we're not quite there yet. Don't worry, we're not done yet. So we put the thumb nut thing in and we turn it 90 degrees. Now we need to put these are called left and right wing struts in place between the upper and lower wings as shown. Look at this drawing. Okay, so this is with the plane facing the way it is. This one goes like that. Okay, so basically the ugly part goes inboard, okay? Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna use as my basis for calculating what direction they go.
Because the directions are super.
They are a little bit lacking on that. Wow, okay, so that's weird. Oh, and then look, these little doohickeys here.
What's
These
the technical term?
doohickeys, what do they call them? Secure the wing struts to the top and bottom wing with the 4 included doohickeys. Ensure the wing pins are fully seated.
The wing doohickeys.
The wing doohickeys. Dang it. These things, hold on, did I do it wrong? I don't think I did it wrong.
Wing.
See, because the doohickey goes into the big side like this, right? And the doohickey, see how it says top right there? It says top, but it doesn't say left or right.
Well, but it's pointing, well, it has an arrow.
I understand. The doohickey goes this way. Why don't they say front? If it says top and it says front, then you would know you're getting it right. See? The doohickey goes in like this, right? That's all it does, okay? The doohickey, right?
And then what does it do?
And it's supposed to go from the front, right? Yeah, that's what they're showing. Okay, so we have it correct. But if I have it correct, then this should be coming from the front. So I must not have this one correct.
What is it?
Oh, this says top. That's what I was doing wrong, guys.
That's what I said.
Camera crew knew what was going on and yet didn't communicate to her wonderful and near perfect husband.
Where are you going with that?
Near husband. So you see this? The doohickey goes in there like that. And I don't think I got it right. That does not feel correct.
It doesn't look right.
I don't think I have it right either. See how it's kind of like able to pull up? I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be. The bottom wing pin fully seated should be down. I don't think I have it right. And these, by the way, are all the same, guys. See this? They're exactly the same. And there's a total of 4 of these. They do not give you extra wing doohickeys. So don't lose them. So I'm gonna try this again and see if I can get down below, because I think they need to key into the bottom. What the heck? See how it lifts? That just can't be right.
Oh, we can see.
You can?
Now I can.
See, that can't be right.
What is it?
I think what's going on is it's coming out of the hole. So let's take this off and let's look at it closely. So when you slide this in, okay, it goes in like this and then it goes through to the other side. What's happening where I'm installing this is going in and then it's wanting to walk out the bottom like that. So I need to figure out how to get it to go up on top like that, okay? That's the problem I'm running into.
Yep.
So this needs to pass through here and then go like this, and that will pull it taut. What's happening instead is I'm pushing it through and it's going down, okay? Of all the videos that we could minimize the ramming, why does it have to be the video? Not.
You can't ram it in there.
You have to.
You have to be gentle. There's a little bit of finesse in there sometimes.
I don't think it's gonna go. I feel like I don't have it in me.
Is it the wrong hole?
No, it's the right hole and it's going the right direction. But I'm like running into something there. What am I hitting? Hold on, do I need to twist the wing up? Ooh, don't do that. Ooh, no. No, see, look, it came out the bottom. You can see it. What are you doing? Go to your hole. Oh my goodness, this is like one of those things where on paper it's supposed to be really easy and it's really not like hard, but I just don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I got it. I think.
That looked better.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See, it's about halfway through. See, the drawing shows this thing seated flush on the bottom.
Yeah,
okay.
it's not.
It's not flush on the bottom, but it is absolutely holding now.
Yes.
So if you are in any doubt, guys, and I'm serious, if you're in any doubt, just keep doing it until it gets in the right spot, because you didn't do it right. If it lifts up, if you can see an air gap like when you're doing this, you did it wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can't stress this enough. Okay, so I can actually see the hole right now. I'm looking straight through it. Okay, and yes, this is probably better on the top because you'll have gravity possibly helping you. Okay, that was way easier. That was way easier, see? See how much I'm bending the wing? Okay. Those doohickeys work pretty nice, actually.
Once you can figure it out.
Well, I mean, figure out where you need to stick it, and then you just stick it there. And if you don't like it, stick it. Never mind, I'll just stop. If you don't like it, seriously, you know who I'm talking to. If you don't like it, get out of my life. Oh, sorry, the camera crew's upset at me now. Ah, dang it, I did it backward. This is supposed to be the top and the bottom. All right, so this one says top. So we're gonna go like this. I do feel better.
Glad you feel better.
Take the doohickey. Now watch, this one's gonna go like perfectly.
Probably.
You know, I think there might have been just a little bit of a dent in the foam on that other one.
Possible. But
So maybe I just picked the wrong one to start with. I don't know, the bottom ones are a little bit more tricky. See?
Yep,
It lifted. And it as soon as it wants to start chasing downward like that, then you're in trouble. So you gotta push that down. Maybe I should start with the top. It's weird, like it's just, you would think you'd be able to feel it better, but you just can't really tell what it's doing. There we go. Okay, so what worked nice for me on that one is as I slide this in, I was depressing down with the top of my thumb and I was kind of trying to force it up, okay? I know it sounds weird. When you get into doing this yourself, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. It seems like it should be really easy and it's not hard, it's just awkward and strange. I mean, you can feel it as you slide it in all the way. Okay.
okay.
Like I said, wrong video. Okay, so that looks really awesome, and that would suck to have to do that every time, except honestly, now that I know what I'm doing, I think it would probably be a little easier. The wing feels relatively sturdy. I've had a few biplanes and the wings never feel sturdy. So to be honest, I feel like this wing is actually pretty good because it feels square. Like I could hang it from this and I would feel sturdy. And you can see it's moving a little bit, but it's not anything too fancy. Of course, you're not gonna load the wing laterally like that very often, unless of course you're crashing. So continuing on. The next step is of course to put the control rods. These are the B's, like this. Okay. Just like this. Okay, so then we're talking about the port assignments if you did the plug and play, which PNP, PNF is the same thing, guys, if you don't realize that already. Plug and play, plug and fly are two different variety of nomenclature that's used within the hobby. Horizon usually does PNP from what I understand, but then a lot of the other brands will do plug and fly or plug and play. It really doesn't matter. Okay, from the side here, camera crew. Okay, so we're gonna slide this thing in here and then we're gonna have to rotate it. Ooh, that feels a little flexible. Rotate it and ooh, yes. Wow, call me crazy. Why is that? Oh, because the servo. The servo is attached on the bottom. So you see how this is up a little bit? This would be a good time to have the servo centered, but I'm just gonna go ahead and pull it down to the center position. And then I'm just gonna hold my fingers on top of this, okay? Once I know that it's securely centered, then I can use that to then center the top. And I wanna center it here, okay? That's my trick of the day, okay? So I'm holding that and you can tell that I'm a little bit high, so I have to grab this and just turn it in maybe, I don't know, 2 turns. So there's 4 halves. Yep, a little bit more yet. So there's 1 half and another half. So that was a total of 3 turns. Oh, yeah, I don't know, maybe another half. What do you think?
It's always more than you think it should be.
There we go. That feels pretty good. That's pretty even. You see what I'm looking at? Give them a close-up. I got this flush here. Now look at the top. I have this. The whole length of it is up. I need to go a little bit more. There's another half turn. So that was 4 total turns.
4 turtle turns.
Yes. Thank you for pointing out my mistake.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I have this flush and then mostly flush. So this is lifted just a little bit and it's lifted just a little bit, okay? Then down here, it's flush and flush. So now I do the potentially painful step of snapping this on. Gosh, I really hate this step. I don't know why. It's just like...
Because it hurt. It does.
Here, you do it. Do it, camera crew.
No, I'm holding the camera. I'm
Please.
sorry. I'm busy.
Just try it. I just want you to see. Maybe it's just in my head. Squeeze it together. See? It's like, it's not that big a deal, but then it pops through and it like stabs you. I've always had problems with this because, it didn't do me too bad that time, but you can see. These ones are pretty big ball joints.
They are.
If you get the small ball joints, man, they'll like stab you. I bled before doing that. Okay, so now we'll do the other side. Should be pretty simple. As you can see, when you move the aileron on the right wing, it's gonna move the top aileron and the bottom aileron. So pretty simple stuff. That's why I don't know if flaperons or spoilerons would be the right fit for this type of application, especially given the nature of this plane. You're gonna be able to take it, you know, from like 0 miles an hour to landed if you want to. Granted, you have to be a pretty good pilot to do that. I'm not sure if I can handle that. I don't know if you guys have heard this from me before, but I've said it numerous times in the comments, but 3D flying is not like my thing. I mean, it's kind of like flying helicopters for me. I do it, and I'm not like the worst at it, but I'm not like an especially great 3D pilot. I have an appreciation for how skilled you must be to do 3D flying, legit 3D flying, not accidental 3D flying. That's what I do.
That's what you do.
I do accidental 3D pre-flying. It's like what happens right before a crash.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Also known as
crashing.
crashing. Falling with style.
This is down a little bit. Do you guys see what I'm doing? I'm moving the servo very gently, trying to get it to line up, and I'm just a little bit, I'm kind of like in between right now. I can tell like every time I get the motor to spin a little bit, it wants to, oh, you see what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's like I'm putting pressure on it, just trying to get it to move half a step, and it just won't go. So I'll just have to do my best. You can tell right now we're like super close to the same deflection. You could use a servo tester here, but I would have to like literally take the wing off to do that. So I just don't think that's the right move. You could also just finish the installation and then install this later. I feel like we're close here. We're within the realm of foamy right here. That feels smooth. Feel it so you can show the people at home.
Well, yeah, that's pretty close.
See how it's even? Okay, so now we want to duplicate that here. And so you can tell like right now it's probably just a bit high. And so as this is high, it's actually pretty darn close.
Yeah.
I would say we probably go ahead and leave it. You got to do the same thing that I did back there. I have to brace this to a certain extent and I want these to be square. And I'm going to use my fingernails this time. That went on so smooth, no problems. Smooth and smooth. I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay, so remember, we're not super worried about the position of the servo itself. We're just concerned about the evenness of the top and the bottom. I mean, yes, there is a time or place to have the servos. You don't want them to be like way out of alignment neutrally. But in this case, you just want them to be. And look at this, guys. I want to show you something. If you ever get a prop and it has a little tab like this, you see that tab there? Take your scissors and trim it, or take an X-Acto knife and trim it. Or in this case, I'm just gonna be lazy because I don't want to get up and get the X-Acto knife. Just knock off those nasty edges. That's really, really uncommon to see that on a horizon plane. And it's not a big deal. It took 1 second to fix. This thing looks mean. So what's next? We got to put the, they aren't even going to talk about the spinner? Was that on page 1 maybe?
It's optional.
They don't even talk about the spinner? Seriously? When was I supposed to put the spinner on?
It's like on in all the pictures.
Huh. Maybe mine was like special. I don't know. That's weird. That makes me a little nervous about this. Was that thing tightened down right? Okay, so that's good. That has one heck of a motor mount. Goodness gracious. Okay, so I'm just gonna be on the safe side here. I wanna grab a crescent wrench and check the tightness of that prop, because when you get something like this, I don't know. I mean, maybe this is like a factory sample or something. I'm not sure. That's weird. Because you remember how I said it's weird that my prop is installed? I don't know if you guys' prop is gonna come on.
But
so I just torqued that down a little bit. Oh yeah, you're right. It
put
didn't
it on,
mention.
so I would think.
Yeah, but then why don't they?
Put the spinner on? I don't
Yeah,
know.
very weird.
Kind of strange.
It makes me nervous about this. Oh, good, look. That shaft inserts to this hole. You just ram it all the way in. And then once you get it tight, once it's all the way bottomed out, then you can go ahead and grab your screwdriver. And the screwdriver we had was over here. Thinking number 2 is gonna work, but it might be a little bit too fat to fit down the tube, so I'll try that first. Yeah, that'll go. Okay, so number 2, Phillips. Oh, it slipped off, I can tell. Oh, seems like it's going. Good. So there is no backer on this spinner, which is,
Yeah, it's kind of-
it's not like super uncommon.
Really?
It's, yeah, I would say it's about 1 out of 10 are like this. That just means the collet doesn't require it, which is fine. And if you did have it, look at the clearance you have there.
Yeah, I know.
It's pretty good clearance. That looks beautiful. This plane is really pretty. Okay, so the next step for us is gonna be, of course, binding, and we gotta do the radio setup, which shouldn't be too hard, but this thing is gorgeous. It's not a very big plane though. You can see it's definitely not a UMX. So what was that plane that I had problems with the ailerons acting up on me? It was right before. It was, wasn't it black and green?
No, it was blue and yellow. The other biplane that you had?
Yes.
It was blue and yellow.
My dad got me that for a Christmas present.
What was that called?
I don't know. It was obviously not very memorable
Well, I
because
mean,
it didn't last but one flight.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But it was extremely like crazy. It was really cool.
Yeah.
So it just had a very early demise. So 2200 4S seems like a small pack for this plane too. But because the size of the opening, I think we're gonna be pretty much stuck with that. I'd like to get a little more than 3 minutes of flight time out of it.
Well.
So let's just talk about that for a minute, guys. Smart packs, 2200 3S, 2200 4S. Obviously the 4S has 4 cells in series, 3 cells in series. This is obviously not a beginner plane. If you guys are looking at this video and you're thinking, oh yeah, mommy, I want to get one, don't. Just don't. Get the beginner planes. Trust me on this. You need them first. You'll learn to fly, and then you can work your way up to this really quick, seriously quick. I mean, you could, within a year of really flying a lot, and I mean, you got to fly like every day for like 100 times, but you'll be fine. Just fly a beginner plane. It will be better for you. You'll be less frustrated. Because I don't want you to be a one and done radio controlled flyer, okay? One and done meaning you get this plane, you crash it, and then you quit. And that's for real. That's from the bottom of my heart. I don't want you guys to have failures in this hobby. I want you to have success in this hobby. It's not that I don't think you can handle it, you just can't. It's like something your parents would say. Hey, by the way, don't cut this thing off. That's dangerous. And by the way, don't cut these off and don't cut these up. There's 2 things in this hobby that hurt people, and it is not crashing into people, although that does happen. It's batteries and props, for serious. Don't cut yourself, don't cut your battery, don't catch your house on fire, don't burn your house down, burn down your garage, don't burn down your neighbor's house, don't burn down the RC club. Don't do any of those things, just be careful. And if you get smart packs, you're gonna have the very best chance at success, not removing all possible risk, but life is full of risks. Get used to it. Yes, I just said it. 2200 4S. If you want to make this, make your life as safe as possible, buy this pack. And if you want to make your life as easy as possible, buy these packs. Now, yes, you can go buy one for less money. Actually, the 2200 4S is a very good value. The 2200 3S is an exceptional value. The Smart lineup, these are entry-level sizes, so they do come at a very, very good price point. That being said, you can get junk for really cheap online, and it'll work fine in the plane. Just make sure that you have the correct end. This is an IC3 connector. It has that extra pin in the middle there. That sends some data between this and the ESC and the receiver, and then that goes back to your transmitter. So you can see what the flight pack voltage is and all that good stuff. It's super handy. Also, these things are constantly balancing themselves. They have an active chip inside that monitors the cell levels, and it keeps them balanced, which is the key to success with a lithium polymer pack, especially a soft pack, okay? These are considered soft. They aren't soft if they hit you in the head at full speed, so don't try that either. Now, this is one choice of the chargers. This is a 2100 and S2100. It's hooked up to a power supply. You'll notice this is a big power supply. These are expensive. You don't have to use this. You can use whatever power supply you want. Basically, this is another one. This is a big power supply. You don't have to use a big power supply, but this is what I'm using because it works well. This is an S1500. You can charge very fast on that. Yes, you can actually use these in parallel if you're super smart. This is an S1100. It works very nice. I'm going to plug it in so you can see what goes on. This thing is near automatic. If you know nothing about batteries, this might be your starting point, okay? It is not a free battery charger. It is not cheap, but it is very good. It is beautiful. Hold that down, camera crew. So you'll notice it says, insert balance lead. You could also just reject that theory and skip past, but I'm going to do it just so you can see how this works. This is the balance lead. This is the discharge lead. Again, if you're a beginner, don't start with this plane, but you can learn about batteries and you can long and desire for it. This thing is going to start all on its own, which is super nice. Look at this, 97%. So it's not self-discharged. So now we're going to go ahead and grab another 4S 2200. We'll plug in this one. You'll notice this has a different style of plug. These are AC power. So you don't need a power supply when you buy these. This is the S2100, another fairly expensive, but very good charger. It's going to charge 2 simultaneously. It's 2 channels, meaning you can charge 2 batteries and they're not in parallel like this. This would be like a parallel charging board. You could charge a bunch of batteries on each channel if you want, but they have to be similarly discharged packs in order to have success and not cause a potentially dangerous condition. You don't want to overcharge these cells beyond 4.2 volts. If you do, the chemistry becomes arguably unstable, okay? Let's plug this in and show them how it works. Plug it in. I'll show you charging this without plugging in the balance lead. We're going to select the channel. We're plugged into channel 1. We're going to press this. We're going to press start. Perform the task without the balance lead. Sure, Why not? You don't need it. You just want it because it's convenient. Okay. Look at this, charging. You'll notice that's plugged straight into the wall. This one's plugged straight into the wall. This one's plugged into a power supply, which means you can also take a bigger battery or another battery. It can actually be a smaller battery so long as you don't need more charge. And then you can plug this in and you can charge that way too. Cooling fan, color touch screen, or touch controls. Very cool, very advanced, works very well. I'm very happy with these chargers. I haven't had any problems with them. And there's been, I would say that it's arguably a lot better looking too.
Yeah. And you
So,
can even charge your cell phone if your power goes out.
yeah, if you have a duratio, I'm just going to say it that way. I don't know which way it's actually supposed to be
I don't
said.
know either.
But anyway, if you have a duratio, which is basically an inland hurricane that hits 5 states all at once, and you're running your house on generators, or you're not quite running your house on generators yet, and you decide you want to go ahead and plug in your cell phone so you can have an alarm to get up for work the next day, these things work really nice
They're
for them.
perfect.
Because they actually do have a USB plug on them here. Okay, this power supply runs from the AC to DC, but you can unplug this
Yep.
and then you can charge your phone that way, which is really nice, incidentally, if you're at the flight field and you need to do that. It doesn't have to be a catastrophic weather event at all.
But it can be. And
It can be.
And your wife can charge her phone.
So, without further ado, we're going to come right back and we're going to do the radio setup like we usually do. We're going to go ahead and fly this on 4S. Because we use the metal rod and because this thing is taped on, we're probably only going to demo this plane on 4S. I don't know why 3S would be a problem. It's just going to run a little bit tail heavy, and that's actually probably not a bad thing on this type of plane, especially if you want to do hammerheads and stuff like that. This plane is one of the few, and since we're still in the build series, we're going to go ahead and talk about CG markings first before we move on.
Yeah.
Okay, so CG marking is super duper easy. There is a little bit of a disparity between this and other planes, just for the simple fact that it is a, there's 2 wings involved, okay? So when you're reading through the manual will indicate, if you're dealing with a reputable brand, where the CG should be. Okay, this is a hammerhead, okay? If you're gonna be doing hammerheads all the time, you typically wanna run your CG a little bit aft, toward the tail of the plane, okay? CG is listed here. 89 millimeters back from the leading edge at the center of the top wing. 89 is hyper specific. There's not even a range. Okay, so 89. I was gonna say, it couldn't be 90, it couldn't be 91, it's gotta be 89.
What if it's 87?
Then you're in trouble. I was just looking through a few pages further to see if it actually re-indicates that.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah, there you go.
Still 89.
What? There's no plus or minus? Wow.
Whew.
Okay, well, they must be serious about it.
They are.
So this is from the leading edge of the wing. Now, note this, guys. Look at this. See this wing? Okay. It goes back at an angle. So this is flush here. So I'm just going to show you where 89 millimeters is. Look where 89 millimeters is.
Hey, wait. Can
What?
I?
What?
Because that's what it says at the front, but then it says at the wing root. And if you look at the picture, it's not exactly centered. It's on the, like, where it starts to angle back, isn't it?
The wing root is technically where it meets what the fuselage would be. Okay, so if the wing root technically is here,
Yeah.
not here.
Yeah.
Oh, Horizon, could you just be a little bit more clear?
Especially if you want it to be 89.
89, yeah, not like plus or minus a millimeter. Okay, so I'm just gonna dent it, okay? I'm just gonna dent it. I'm just sighting down from where the wing root would be if this was attached. What the heck? These decals are even, aren't they?
They look like it. No. This
They're
one's
not.
further over.
This one's further over.
Than this
What the
one.
heck? That is so weird. Why is it further over? Because I was just noticing I dented into the
Yep.
sticker here,
And
but
you were
not,
gonna
I
hit it
won't
there.
be over here. Wow, that's weird. Maybe I just need to pull it over just a little bit. Okay, so now just for grins and giggles, so you guys can see, I just threw that on the ground for your viewing pleasure. See here? And you see here? That's about where it is. So it's kind of like right on that carbon fiber spar. You can kind of make it out. when you're in real life. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it in the video. And the trouble is when you have something like this marked, you're gonna be hanging the plane down. So you kind of need to mark the underside of the wing. Okay, so obviously without a battery in there, we're not CG'd out. But you can feel the carbon fiber spar. So really what you're gonna look at is you're just gonna feel, like for me, my middle finger is the longest, so I use my middle finger and check it. Okay, all right, everything's marked. Next up, radio setup. All right, YouTube, we're back for the radio setup. We have a 2200 milliamp 4S here. That's what we're gonna fly the plane on. So the first thing we need to do is just kind of check the CG, okay? I'm gonna use an e-flite 1300 3S that's already puffy on like the third flight. So we're gonna use that to go ahead and set this plane up so we don't consume any of the 4S juice, okay? But we're just gonna use this to get the CG worked out. We already have the CG marked in the build series, the build video, if you will. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of try to get this stuff situated. These Velcro straps are so garbagey. Oh wait, these ones are thicker. They're better. The last plane we had, what was the plane that we had on? That had a really super thin style. The thinnest ones are the worst.
Is that on the Carbon Cub S2?
Nope, it was on the Haboo. That was the only thing I basically didn't like other than the ugly landing gear. That plane is awesome if you're looking for a beginner plane. So much fun, flies phenomenal. Okay, so we're just gonna try to lay this down. I'm telling you, you're gonna have to go to the other side. I'm sorry, I can't get my head in the right spot so I can see what I'm doing. This reminds me of the Timber a little bit because this is gonna be a pain to get this battery in.
Putting batteries in is always a pain.
No, it's not. No, it's not. There are certain planes where it's really bad, and then there's certain planes where it's actually not a big deal at all. And to be honest with you, it's just, these are better. Velcro straps are thicker. So I don't know if Horizon listened or if I just got lucky. Kind of guessing.
I'm gonna go with number 2.
Okay, so this would definitely reach the plug, so that's all the more we need for now. So we can go ahead and put the, would you grab that cover there? Okay, so the cover is gonna push down. The motor leads are actually getting pushed down there. It's not necessarily ideal. So I'm feeling for the carbon fiber spar, which is at exactly 89 millimeters. Exactly. That's probably about right.
Good.
So I must have got kind of lucky on how that fit. Let's show the people.
Where's your battery?
It's basically at the front strap. The leading edge of the battery is at the front strap, okay? This is just wherever it hits. See, the front strap. Wonderful. Okay, so it's where it needs to go. And I guess I'm just gonna leave that battery there because I don't want to do that again.
Okay.
So the first thing we have to do is kind of set up like our generic airplane file, if you will, on the DX18 in this case. So we're gonna go back to page 4, computerized transmitter setup. Okay, so I'm just gonna get my radio turned on, throttle cuts on, sticks are all in the conditions that I want them to be in for normal flight. So I'm gonna click, go down to system setup, disconnect the RF, shuts off the light, model select, go to the bottom, add new model, create, takes a second. Then I go to model type, I'm gonna select acro, confirm model type, model name. This is where we type in the name. This is my model 83. This is the model name, it's an Ultimate 3D. And the Ultimate 3D happens to be 954 millimeters. So I don't know if you would qualify that as 1,000 millimeters or 954. So obviously the Ultimate 3D, maybe it's the one off, but I'm gonna still try to put that size in there if I can, because if we get a bigger Ultimate 3D, we can add that later. So without further ado, we're going to scroll that in. And after we get a couple letters in, we'll Ultimate. We will pause it so that you guys don't have to be bored. Okay, so we have the Ultimate 3D 954 millimeters. And we'll go back, we'll go to the aircraft type. This is where we have to kind of look ahead a little bit because it says here the aircraft type is going to be, where is that? Airplane. There it is. Aircraft type. Model setup. Aircraft type is aileron, one aileron. So I don't understand why that nomenclature is so hard to communicate, but it evidently is. And I want to change the picture to the biplane, which looks like a pretty close match. And then we need to set up one of the switches if we're going to use motor reversing. Evidently, switch A is what they recommend. I'm assuming we can change that later. I just don't know because switch A is only 2 positions, but they show it as, oh, they're saying you can do either one. So you can do motor reversing or no motor reversing. I'm just not sure if I want it there or not. I guess
we'll like that switch.
Yeah, because like I do this for landing gear, obviously, and this doesn't have retracts, so clearly we can use that switch. My concern is that if I use that, I may accidentally leave it on when I start the plane. So it does make me concerned. Throttle cut will be critical on this plane, so we're gonna definitely have throttle cut. Okay, so we'll use channel A like the instructions suggest. So what they're suggesting is that for position 0, which is, you know, down here, and you can tell from it says like the down arrow says 0 and then the up arrow says 1. And I said that, but now that I'm saying it backward. It doesn't really matter. This position is 1, this position is 0, okay? So if you go to your monitor mode by clicking over once, you can see what they're talking about. Okay, so gear is either 100 or minus 100. Well, what they want it to be is they want position 0 to be minus 100, and they want position 1 to be 100 if you want motor reversing, okay? So in this case, I'm gonna go to servo setup, I'm gonna go to reverse, and I'm gonna go to gear and switch it. Okay, I'm gonna accept the change, scroll over, and I'm gonna look at gear. And I'm gonna say position 0 is now minus 100 for gear. See, minus 100. And then for position 1, it's plus 100, okay? So that means the motor will be reversed when we do that. Okay, so now the next step, of course, is going to be to bind this thing. So if you haven't already done that, oh, let's talk about Expo for a minute. I told you I have a
throttle cut.
Yeah, throttle cut, good idea. And then timer too for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna set that to this switch, switch H. We'll set it to minus 100. You can see that it's working currently because the switch is toward me. That's the way I want it to work. So I'll walk out of the menu, I'll go over to monitor. You can see throttle's not changing. Now it is changing. Okay, so just to be clear, when I turn on my gear switch, throttle is still doing the same thing, okay? So why is that important? We make sure that throttle cut works in both conditions, okay? Which is important, that's a safety thing. You do wanna make sure, if you're in any doubt on throttle cut, spend the time to know that you're 100% correct, because you don't wanna get cut. I said there's 2 safety issues with planes, and it's not anything to do with flying, which sounds crazy, but it's people get cut on props and people have problems doing stupid things with batteries, okay? Beyond that, you are a statistical anomaly if you're injured by a flying plane, okay? By a flying radio controlled plane, right? And you're already a statistical anomaly by being involved with this hobby. So that's what we hope to change. So anyway, all right, moving into the next thing, we are going to obviously set this up so that safe is active. And see, that's where I run into a bit of another problem, because typically I would use this to turn safe on and off. So I don't want to be flying along and say, let's turn safe on. It won't be very safe.
Be a good video.
Yeah, it would be a good video.
You usually fly in safe for like about 11 seconds.
That's true. I could just put it on the D switch.
Or you could just...
Yeah, I'm gonna activate it.
Okay.
I want the people at home to see what safe is gonna look like. So that being understood, I'm just gonna go a few pages forward. Looks like we're on page 11. and it says binding. Okay, so general binding tips, general binding tips. Okay, so they talk about it and then they talk about it some more. So evidently this is the tips and then they have more tips in a different format.
Those are bullet points, and then you have sentences.
Okay. So I'm not going to read any of those because that's a lot of work.
Yes.
I'm just going to look down here at this pictures. And it's like, you have a picture menu, double cheeseburger, that thing. Isn't that about how that works usually?
Pretty much.
Okay. It didn't work at McDonald's the other day.
No.
The picture menu
It did
was,
not.
I was like, you don't even have everything on this menu.
And fries? Anyway.
Anyway, so, okay, using the bind button, there is a button like we talked about. I just want to show the people at home. So like if you're wanting to get to the button, for real, okay, you're going to have to press really hard because it's through this thing. Now, the other thing is legitimately speaking, if you want to use the bind button rather than using a bind switch, that's fine and you can do that, but you're going to have to make a hole, okay? I would not recommend that. It's not necessary. It's very easy to feed this wire up here, just like we did in the video. Now, yours probably is going to already be fed up here. I think mine was kind of dropped down just because of the nature of the receiver coming unglued. Yeah, so we kind of got in a little bit of trouble there is all. Okay, so the tape is still on here, AS3X only. Leave plug in while initiating transmitter bind. Or safe select, remove plug prior to initiating. I'll explain what that means, and I'm not even going to look at this because this just confuses me every time I read it. Transmitter's off. Throttle cuts on. You know what we forgot?
What?
Timer.
Oh,
Let's set up timer to 3 minutes.
You never went to Expo.
I never did Expo either. Oh my goodness, I'm sitting back down. Okay, so timer. So when I updated my firmware, now there's like 400 extra steps to doing this. So like you see where it says alarm, tone and vibrate? Okay, that's evidently not good enough. Now you have to go all the way out here and then you have to change expiration too to tone and vibrate. And I'm like, why is that not automatically done? Like, good Lord, look at all these steps. So when you walk out now, that's gonna work. Okay, so you move past 25% and it starts the timer. Throttle cuts off. You move past 25% and it starts the timer. See, it's not running. Why? Because we never activated one out. Timer, one time is active now. Okay. Now when you go over 25%, you can see 73%, 0. There you go. Now watch what happens when I flip the switch. See, that would be giving us reverse throttle. It's still in terms of absolute value, folks, okay? So you're not gonna see a negative value on the throttle output on the home screen here, okay? You're gonna see an absolute value.
Even when you're reversing.
Which means it's always gonna be a positive value, okay? Clear, resets the timer. Now let's set Expo. Dual rates in Expo. So now, just to be clear, Expo is highly subjective. Highly subjective, okay? So, but this is a 3D plane. So I'm gonna do something that I don't normally do. I'm gonna do a negative Expo for my most sensitive setting. I'm gonna do a normal, neutral setting that I expect to fly on, and then I'm gonna do a very low rate in case this thing is hard to fly and I can't get it to the ground, okay? That's something I normally don't do. I'm just talking about it because this is a 3D plane. I think we might have done that with the Night Timber X too, but either way, let's show the people at home. I like using this switch. That's just what I do, okay? So I'm gonna go to dual rates in Expo. I'm on aileron. So I scroll down to switch, I click, I move switch F. In 0, I am going to set my dual rates to 100 and I'm gonna set my Expo to -10. And you're like, but Brian, that's not soft center. Exactly. Then I'm gonna set this to 10. Then I'm gonna set this to like 25. And the dual rate's down to 90, okay? So this is gonna be like really soft center. This is gonna be just a little bit of take the edge off, and this is gonna be like add edge to it, okay? And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the exact same thing on all 3 axes. And if I have one axis that's not working well, then I will change that. So -10, then I'm gonna go +10, Then I'm gonna go positive 25, which is a lot more than usual. And I'm also gonna drop the rates down to 90, okay? I'm gonna go to rudder, I'm gonna change that to switch F. Go back to the first setting, I'm gonna change this to minus 10. Now, what control axis do you need the most for hammerheads, camera crew?
Elevator.
Elevator and rudder, typically. Because your ailerons are just gonna kind of keep you pointed upright. And these ailerons are huge, so
Yeah.
you're not gonna need them as much. But you gotta keep it from tipping over. And usually once you get up on the tail like that, you've gotta be on it. That's why I have that setting. That's extreme, like really don't have to move the sticks much. It doesn't take very long to get it to move. Plus the servos that Spectrum uses are phenomenal. There's some of the faster ones that you're gonna see. For this class, I mean, obviously you can spend 200 bucks on a servo if you want. My wife is making some interesting faces right now. But anyway, I'm not into those type of planes, thank God,
goodness.
because we have to, you know, like pay for food and things like this. So anyway, we have all those things set. So when we take off, we'll take off in this setting. Of course, we'll have a 3-minute flight timer on a 4S pack, a 4S 2200 to be exact. Throttle cut is on, and we're gonna go to monitor mode and test it. So now, at this point, we'll go ahead and bind. So everything where we want for switches, this is gonna set our fail-safe, okay? If fail-safe exists. I don't even know if they have fail-safe set up on this. I don't care. I just do this as a matter of habit. Okay, throttle stick down, throttle cut on, flaps in the condition I want, which don't exist on this plane. Gear in the condition that I want, that's very important. Most of the Horizon products that have retracts will actually require a reset if they're gonna change condition after a boot, okay? That's not always true, but it is true of a lot of manufacturers, not just Horizon, okay? This is gonna be 3S 1300. We're not gonna be flying on this, but this is just to get the bind done. We have a bind plug here. So this is the binding procedure for Safe Select. We're gonna insert the bind plug, okay? We're gonna energize the ESC on the plane with a battery. This has an EC3. It will mate up perfectly with an IC3, which, by the way, just a real quick reminder, EC3s suck really bad, and so I used almost exclusively XT60s for many years. IC3s are not hard to unplug now, which is super nice. And they fixed the problem of EC3s. Stay back just in case something goes horribly wrong. Now, we're in bind mode. Now we pull the bind plug, and now we go through, and we're just gonna put our body in a safe spot in case something goes horribly wrong. I'm gonna secure the plane, and then I'm gonna attempt to give you guys a shot at home, holding down the bind button. Okay, binding. DSMX, 22 milliseconds. Telemetry. And you can let go. It's doing the AS3X dance, making sure the throttle doesn't kick in. Now that we have tested the throttle, we know it's safe. We're gonna test with the switch the other way, and we know we're safe. Okay, so now at this point, we can go ahead and unplug. We know that our throttle cut's working, so we have some level of control over this thing. We have the bind switch on, or the bind plug, obviously removed. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tuck that down next to the battery so it's out of the way. Now at this point, we can probably go ahead and put the flight pack in, right?
I would think so.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and clear the timer, throttle stick down, throttle cuts on, and you guys have already seen where the battery sits. So we're gonna plug this in. By the way, for those of you that are new to the hobby, we appreciate you, and we go through all these steps for you. For those of you that aren't new to the hobby, they thank you, because they will get it. It's annoying to watch the same steps over and over again, but I don't do this for you guys. You guys already know what you're doing. You probably aren't gonna watch this far into the video. I do this for the sake of people that are getting this plane for their third plane, and they need some help getting things set up, or they're just coming back to the hobby and they're very good pilots. They just haven't done it for a long time, and they're used to crystals and old technology, and I'm helping to get them over the hump. So you guys have been really good to us about that. I've only had, oh, I don't know, probably a handful of negative comments about that stuff. Okay, so elevator up and down. We obviously have throttle tested. We have throttle cut tested. We have reverse throttle tested. We're gonna go ahead and chop the throttle. We're gonna go backward. Throttle cut, reverse. Did that reverse? Careful. It's still going the same direction. I'm not seeing a change in state. Throttle cuts on and tested. Okay, so we gotta figure that out. So our reverse is not working. So we have to figure out why that's not working, and we'll come back on that part. But for now, let's check the other control surfaces. Elevator up, elevator down, ailerons left, ailerons right, and you'll notice that it's moving only a little teeny bit. Rudder left, rudder right, everything is in the correct orientation. The reason it's doing that is because we bound with safe select in mind. We have given throttle, so AS3X is live. Attempting to right the plane is what's happening. The safe is trying to bring the plane level, okay? So now what we need to do is do an assignment for safe select, okay? Safe select, of course, is going to be auto leveling, and AS3X is going to be stabilization. So it just stops the wind from, pushing a wing down or kicking, yawing the plane this way or yawing the plane that way or whatever in flight. Safe is going to bring the plane to a level condition when you let go of the sticks. There's no panic button, but you don't need it. You just let go of the sticks and the plane comes out of its whatever and then goes straight. Okay. Keep in mind, it goes straight and you have to be flying a certain speed in order to keep flying. Otherwise it will fall because that's called a stall. Okay, throttle cuts on. We need to figure out what happened there, and we need to also figure out our assignment for safe, turning safe on and off. In this plane, I want D to operate our safe select on off, okay? So in order to do that, I'm gonna go back to this page that talks about binding. Okay, so this is the page. This is page 12. It says for mode 1 and 2 transmitters, you want to pull the sticks in and down for both sides, and then the assigned switch up and down. Now the key is it has to be an assigned channel. It can't just be a switch. So we'll talk about that now. So I'm going to go to monitor mode to see if it's assigned. I'm going to look as this moves. It's moving auxiliary 1. So that's okay. So we should be able to assign that. Now, if you wanted to use switch E, that's assigned up here. That would also be acceptable because I believe we're within range. Now, if you move auxiliary 5, which in my case is a slider on the right, that might not be assignable because it might be outside of the range of the safe select, okay? So I'm gonna use D. The way you would get this within range if you wanted that to turn it on and off is you would go into your channel assign and then you would change that to operate one of the lower channels, okay? So, sticks down and in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay? So it didn't dance like I'm used to, but it did change out of safe. Now, you'll notice I counted 1, 2, 3, I'm counting all the way down to the end of stroke, all the way up to the top of stroke, that's 1. So really I should count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, okay? So looking at the switch, there's gonna be a safe mode and there's gonna be an AS3X mode. There is not intermediate like on a full safe airplane, okay? So right now, the easiest way to tell if you're in safe is by flipping the plane upside down, finding level, and then letting it try to find level. See this? So you can also see the rudder working with the ailerons. Okay, so safe is clearly on, safe is clearly off, but AS3X stays on for both modes. So now let's look at our switch conditions, guys. This is not the condition I want to fly in. I want this to be where safe is. So you can look down here at the monitor. I'll wake it up so the backlight works. So safe is currently on. I want safe to be on down here. So I'm going to click, I'm going to go to servo setup. See how that's moving? Auxiliary 1. So I just am going to simply reverse auxiliary 1. Now, I'm going to walk out of that menu. Currently safe should be off, and it is. With safe on, and it is. Okay. So now when I want to use safe, I just reach up here and turn that on. Okay. If you're new to flying, there's two different styles of flying. There's a pincer grip. Okay. My throttle cut is on, by the way, guys, and it is tested. And then there's, of course, the regular old style thumbs like I use, and that is the correct way. Just kidding, guys. There's not a correct way. So that being said, because I use thumbs this way, I have a harder time getting to D. I don't have a hard time getting to C, and I don't have a hard time getting to B, but I exclusively use B for flaps. And C I use very rarely, just because it's very easy to mix those up when you're flying. So I try not to use both of them, okay? Now, the last thing, we have to figure out why we're not getting a change on the throttle. Now, I think I know why, because that's supposed to be on channel 7, I thought. And the only reason I know that is from the Night X. So what we'll do is we'll pause it, we'll figure out what we did wrong. Okay, guys, it comes to my attention that I never actually did the digital switch setup. I just went in and reversed the servo, okay, for gear. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna secure the plane and switch that back. Okay, nothing happens, that's good. So I've got it back to the way it would have been by default. Okay, so now this is what's gonna control our reverse or forward. And I'm gonna scroll to the function list. I'm actually gonna click into the function list. I'm gonna scroll down to digital switch setup. I'm gonna switch A, and it says position 0 is -100. And okay, so we gotta just press clear. That takes you to +100. So I wanna just scroll all the way down to -100. This is weird. I've never done this setup this way, but whatever. And then clear. Nope, that goes. And now I want this one. Whoops. Switch 0 is -100, and then switch 1 is +100 in my case, because I want it to actually do reverse the motor.
Right.
Okay. So I guess we'll see if this works. I don't really understand why you have to do it through the digital switch setup, but evidently you do. Okay, click. Next. Okay, so we're done. So now we're going to very carefully test this to see if it worked. It's powerful, so be aware and be careful. Okay, throttle cut is off and everything is, well, that's blowing at you, isn't it? Okay, yes. Throttle cut's on and tested. Okay, good. So currently it's in reverse. That means I need to switch this anyway because I don't like the direction it is. Okay, so throttle cut's off. Still going backward?
That's blowing at me.
Well, that's totally weird. So when I go to my throttle cut works. So when I go to monitor mode, throttle cut is tested. You can see that my gear switch is going from 100 to -100. So that's correct. We know that the motor is capable of being reversed. We already know that because we've tested it. And now it's blowing instead of pushing, okay? So what I need to do is I need to go in. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go to servo setup. I'm gonna go back and just reverse it again. Okay, so I reversed it. Throttle cut is on. Make sure we're both in a safe spot. You good, camera crew? Mm-hmm. Okay, my radio's in a safe spot. Blowing. Still blowing. What the heck? Okay, throttle cut's on and tested. So I'm gonna play with this and we'll come back when we figure it out. Okay, folks, I realize I made a mistake. I just skipped a step. My apologies. This is, you have to go to channel assign and you have to assign switch A to auxiliary 2, which is channel 7, if I recall. Oh, so you remember how we had to do that on the other plane. So you go to system setup, disconnect RF, and then you go down to channel assign, and then you go to gear and you change that to aux2. There you go. Okay, secure things. Okay, everything's booted. Now, we have everything else set, except I want to reverse that servo back, which is just, see how it says aux 2? So it's reversed back now. Okay, throttle cut's on and tested. So we know the throttle cut's working. It's very important to test throttle cut when you're testing these things, okay? So if you want to test this totally safe, take the prop off, put a piece of tape on there, and then you can tell which direction it's going. It's actually kind of hard because it moves fast. Okay, throttle cut is off, so it's plane's live. Blowing. I'm going to monitor mode just to make sure I can see auxiliary 2 is changing. It's not. Throttle cut's on and tested. See, watch. This is aux 2. See how it's not changing?
Yeah. What?
Yeah, I know. I bet it's going to go forward now, though. Okay, throttle cut is off. Blowing. Blowing harder. Okay. Throttle cut's on. All right, so what we're going to do is we're actually take out the battery. We're going to let everything reboot, and we're going to shut off the transmitter, and we're going to reboot it, and we'll see if that fixes the problem, which is possible that that could fix the problem.
Yeah, it might.
So, guys, when you get into some of this more complicated stuff, sometimes you run into problems like this. So I'm actually not too worried about it. I'm going to turn this off. Obviously, our battery's unplugged, so we're totally safe. We're going to turn this back on. Throttle cut is on. I want my switch A where I want it to be normally. And then I'm just going to go back to monitor mode. See how it's not changing? Probably because our digital switch settings were not saved. Okay? See, there's nothing changed. So if I switch A, so switch A is supposed to be 0 is minus 100, and then position 1 is plus 100. Okay, so that is correct. See there, it's changing. You can see it changing.
So do you have to go to next or something to save?
No, there's nothing else. So really at this point, when I move over here, that should be changing auxiliary 2, but it's not. So what I want to do is I want to go down to system setup, disconnect RF, go back to channel assign. See it says aux 2? Maybe I need to inhibit this one. There's aux 1. Aux 2 is already controlled by E, okay? So system setup, channel assign. See how this says gear is on A? I'm going to clear that, inhibit it, and then I'm going to go here and I'm going to set that to A. Whoops. So now, I think what was happening is there was just a mismanagement of the switches. See, now it's working. So they didn't tell you to do that in the manual. And to be honest with you, that's just like a weird enough thing that they probably should have told you that. The reason that didn't work is because we had switch E and switch A both assigned to contradictory things. So I think the radio system did the right thing by not changing conditions. That might be just like a fail safe. So sorry guys, we lost memory there, so we had to start over again for a second. Basically, that weird gaff is buried kind of, you shouldn't have to know it, but you'll know from watching the video. When the system is set up by default, certain switches are assigned to certain channels, and what was happening is you have to actually assign the channel that is otherwise attached to E to A. And you have to not just assign that, but you have to go in and actually then assign the other one to be inhibited. So just be careful, follow through the steps and then do it.
And just check it and make sure it's right.
Yeah, make sure it's right, because like you're gonna get to the flight field and be like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Waiting for the initiation. Once, twice. That's how you know safe is initiated, by the way. Okay, throttle cut is on and tested. Okay, so we're good there. We're not gonna fly on this pack because we've probably used quite a bit of charge on it. So I'm gonna get in a safe spot. throttle cuts off. It's going normal. Right now it's blowing on my arm. And it's still blowing on my arm. And there's no change when I change the state of that switch. I'm gonna change the other switch. Nothing, nothing. Okay, throttle cut is back on. So basically what I'm gonna do is test my throttle cut. It is tested good. Show the people at home. Monitor mode. Auxiliary 2 is in fact at plus 100 and minus 100. That is supposed to switch the condition of the motor direction. So not sure what's going on here. We'll pause it and we'll try to figure it out and come right back. Okay, so I found out what I did wrong and I'll show you. So basically, as you can see, throttle cuts off. We have reverse and we have forward, reverse, forward. It's a lot louder in reverse. Okay, throttle cut is on and tested. Okay. So what we had going on was if I go into the system setup and I hit yes to disconnect the RF and I scroll down to channel assign, what I did was auxiliary 2 needs to still be active as auxiliary 2 and on gear, okay? Then you have to set auxiliary 2 to A here, and then you have to inhibit gear here, okay? That will take care of the, okay, obviously no big deal because our battery is low, we know that. I don't know if there's a way to get around this warning. It says the smart battery is not charged for flying, okay? You can hit clear and it'll go past, okay? That's a warning. Just so you can see the telemetry. Shows you that. Shows you all sorts of stuff, which is pretty awesome. I don't know why it's saying it's not charged.
Yeah. Well, was that under load?
Oh, maybe it was. So either way, it doesn't matter. The point is it's working. And the point is I wanted to review it with you guys just so you know. Because some of those settings are weird. And we're just kind of getting our feet wet on reversing ESCs from Spectrum. Obviously, we've had them available for a long time, but they were more of a plug and fly thing where people would put them into planes. But the bind and fly setup is something that's new for all of us. So we'll get it figured out. At any rate, next up, we're gonna fly. Guys, thanks for sticking around this far into the video. We hope you've had all your questions answered. And the questions that we haven't answered, please do leave them in the comments below. I try my best to stay up on questions and comments, and there's a lot of them that come through and I try to reply to 100% of them. That doesn't always happen. And by the way, if you're not already aware, if you make a comment, I see the comments, but I don't always see the reply to my reply. So if we have a back and forth, just make a new comment. I know it sounds a little bit annoying, but that's one way you can make sure to get through to me, because the way that we filter the comments on YouTube, because there's so many of them, I have to basically, that's the way I do it. Otherwise I scroll and scroll and you might be like 10 days later, I might notice it if I'm lucky, but I don't mean to not get back to people, but that's just the way that it is on YouTube right now. Beyond that, we really appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for buying from the links below. When you buy from those links, you support our channel. You don't have to buy this plane. If we don't love it, then you don't have to buy it. If you do love it and we don't like it, that's fine too. But when you buy from the links below, then we get a small proceed for that. So we really appreciate it, and it adds up over time. So the more you guys buy, the more it helps our channel. And we love this hobby and we're gonna help support you guys in it. And Horizon does a really good job. So if you're looking for a place to get kind of in bed, so to speak, Spectrum Radio is a good place to start. Definitely, they make some of the best bind and fly stuff out there. There are a bunch of companies out there, but Horizon is one of the few that will back up their product. And we really appreciate them, and we appreciate you being the world's best audience. So come back for more. You've already seen the flight. We're getting ready to see it, so we're super excited. check the link in the description below. You can buy the plane or whatever else that we have on there. And if you have questions, let us know in the comments below and we will get back to you. All right, Easter egg time. Somebody this week said we need more kitten video. I don't really understand why. It's because they're not cute or anything.
No, not a bit.
They're just having a nap here. We named these cats. They're getting to be cats. Do you remember when I brought them home and I could hold them in the hands?
All three of them.
All three of them?
Together.
They were so cute.
Yes.
And this guy's purring. This girl's purring. This is Colby.
No.
This is Callie. That's Colby.
No.
And this is Pouncer.
That's Pouncer. That's Colby. That's Callie.
Oh, how do you tell the difference?
Because Callie has like consistent stripes, and
then
Colby has big
the
chunky stripes.
Swoops.
Yep.
Anyway, so somebody asked for an update, and these kittens have been good. They've been good. Look at these vicious claws. Let me see your vicious claws, cat. Look at that thing.
They love going outside now.
Oh yeah, and
then coming in and
they
sleeping.
love crawling up on the back of our chairs, and then they squeak like this. And about 1 or 2 in the morning, when yours truly is just finally rolling into bed, I hear people running after trying to attack our family. And I'm like, nah, it's just cats. So there's your Easter egg. Thanks for watching.